Today we're going to be doing about the lowest common multiple, or LCM. First things first, we're going to write 150 as a product of its prime factors. So pause the video and have a go. So we're going to put 150 here. I always like splitting things into two if I can, because it's your smallest prime number. So 150 is a product of its prime factors is 2 times 3 times 5 squared. Okay, now we're going to recap how to do the highest common factor. So there's two methods. The first method is doing a list, where you're going to write down your multiplications that would give you those numbers. So the factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 and 12. If I'm doing 45, my factors of 45 are 1, 3, 5, 9, 15 and 45. So I'm going to go through my list, and anything that isn't in both lists I'm going to get rid of. So get rid of the 2 and the 4, the 5, the 6, the 9, get rid of those ones. So in this example, my highest common factor is 3. And I can do this another method, which is my preferred method, because it's easier when you get to your lowest common multiples, which is to do it by prime factorization. So 12 is 2 times 2 times 3. I'm going to split 45 into my 5 times tables, like this. So 45 is 3 times 3 times 5, and I'm looking for the ones that are the same, so let's get rid of these, which is only going to give me 3. So different methods but the same answer. So now we've recapped how to do prime factorization and the highest common factor, we're now going to look at the lowest common multiple. And if you remember from a previous video, a multiple is just a number that appears in a times table. So for example, in the 2 times table, we have 2, 4, 6, 8. They are all multiples of 2. So that means the first method we can use to find the lowest common multiple is to literally write out the times tables. So if I do 16, 32, 48, 64, 80, and I'll go up to 96. Might need to go a little bit higher actually, so let's do 112, 128, and I think I'll stop there for now. Okay, do my 40 times tables then. So I've got 40, 80, 120, and so on and so forth. And you'll see straight away that both of them have 80. That is the lowest number that is in both times tables. So our answer would be 80. And there is another method for doing that, which is prime factorization. So let's split these numbers into its prime factors, like this. 16 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, and then I'll do 40 over here. And then 40 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. Now, when we were doing the highest common factor this method, what we did is we only times together the numbers that were the same. Whereas in this one, we're going to do everything. But where there's duplicates, like here in this row, we're just going to count 1. So let me get rid of that one, and that one. And so now I'm going to do 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. And 16 times 5 is 80. So 2 methods, same answer. So you're going to try one by yourself now. So let's find the lowest common multiple of 12 and 15 with your preferred method. Okay, so I prefer doing prime factorization, so I'm going to do it that way. So 12 is 2 times 2 times 3, and then 15 is 3 times 5. Okay, so let's get rid of those duplicates like this. So we've now got 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 3 is 12, and 12 times 5 is 60. So the lowest common multiple of these numbers is 60. And you can get it the other way if we were to do our 12 times table. So 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, and so on. And if I was to do my 15 times tables, you can see straight away there is my lowest common multiple. Another one to try here, and then we'll go through it together. Okay, 24 then. So I'm going to split it by prime factorization. So 24 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, then 36 is 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. And you'll notice when I'm writing it, I'm trying to keep everything in columns just because it makes it a little bit clearer. So now I need to get rid of my duplicates. So we're going to get rid of the 2 and that 2 and that 3. So that's going to give us 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. And 24 times 3 is 72. So 72 is the lowest common multiple of 24 and 36. Same as we've done before, pause the video and then we'll go through the answers. So I'm going to break my 30 up. So 30 is 2 times 3 times 5. Then I'm going to break my 45 up. So 45 is 3 times 3 times 5. I've only got 1, 2. We'll get rid of the duplicate 3 and we'll get rid of our duplicate 5 to give us 2 times 3 times 3 times 5. So 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. And 18 times 5 is 90. So 90 is the lowest common multiple of 45 and 30. Another one to try here, pause the video and we'll go through the answers. So this is where it's good to be able to do it by prime factorization, because otherwise you've got to know your 55 times tables and eventually you start having to get into bigger and bigger numbers and it will get very confusing. So let's split this up by prime factorization into 5 and 11. So 55 is 5 times 11. I'm just left quite a bit of space there just because I don't know how I'm going to break 105 down yet. So 105, I'm going to split that into a 5 as well. So that's going to give me 5 and 21. I'll then split that into 7 and 3. And then if I write that here, so I have 3 times 5 times 7. That one is 105. Okay then, so let's cross out any duplicates. So we've got a duplicate 5. We don't have the same 3, 7 or 11. So I need to do 3 times 5 times 7 times 11. So 3 times 5 is 15. I'm going to make this a little bit easier for myself here. So 7 times 11 is 77. So now I've got to do 15 times 77. There's a few ways you can do this. You could do 10 times 77 and then halve it and add it together. As we've been practicing how to do it, I'm going to do this in the grid method way. Just a little recap. Okay, so bring your zeros down into your boxes first, and then do the sum. So 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 1 is 7 again. 7 times 5 is 35. And the same on there. And then you add those numbers together. So 700, 350, 70, and 35. Let's add it together. So 5 in the first column, 15 in the next column along, and then 11 in the next one. So 1,155 is your answer. And that's where you could have done it in this way up here, and you could have kept writing your 55 times tables, but eventually, you would have to do quite a lot to get up to this big number here. So it is easier if you can do it with prime factorization. Okay, one big one here to try, so pause the video and have a go at this one. Okay, so I'm going to do this by prime factorization because I can see looking at the numbers that this is going to be quite a big number. So let's start off with 36, which is 2 times 18, split that into 2 times 9, and then this one into 3 times 3. So 36 is 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. 72. I'm going to split that into my 3 times tables this time, which is 3 times 24, then 2 times 12, 2 times 6, 2 times 3. So 72 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. And I've tried to align that so that it's a little bit clearer at the end. Last one is 120. So I'm going to split that into 2 times 60, 2 times 30, 2 times 15, and 3 times 5. I'm just going to delete that 72 there just so it's out of the way. Okay, so 120. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. So let's cross out the duplicates. So I don't need all those 2's or all those 3's. So that's going to give me 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 5 to do as the sum. I'm going to do this in this corner here, and this is going a little bit everywhere, but just so there's space. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. 24 times 3 is 72. And 72 times 5 is 360. So 360 is the lowest common multiple of 36, 72 and 120. Now sometimes you'll get a question like this where they've actually done the hard work for you because they've already written these numbers as a product of their prime factors. So I'm going to expand it first. So 28 is 2 times 2 times 7, and 8 is 2 times 2 times 2. And it wants me to find the lowest common multiple. So I'm going to treat this no differently. So get rid of my duplicates, and that's going to give me 2 times 2 times 2 times 7. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 times 7 is 56. So 56 is our lowest common multiple, and you can do that the other method if you want to because they are smaller numbers. So 28 would be 28, 56. I'm not going to go any higher because obviously you already know that's the answer. And if I was doing 8, I would say 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, and there we go, that is our lowest common multiple. The other method as well. One more question to try then. So even though this looks scary, remember this is actually easier because the hard work's been done. So pause the video and then we'll go through the answers. So let's expand it first. So 150 is 2 times 3 times 5 times 5, and 60 is 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. Then let's cross out those duplicates, so we don't need 2 of those, 2 of those, or 2 of those. So that's going to give us 2 times 2 times 3 times 5 times 5. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 5 is 60. And 60 times 5 is 300. And again, you can do it the other method. So if we were to do 150's multiples, 150, 300, 450, and so on. And if I was to do 60's multiples, I'd do 60, 120, 180, 240, and there we go, 300. So they are the lowest common multiples. So there's two methods, but I do recommend that you do it as the prime factorization method, because then it makes no difference how big the number is. You don't need to know your 60 times tables to be able to do it.